introduction. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Financial Insights Wisdom with Women Educational Series. I am Katie Stein, Executive Assistant and Event Coordinator at Financial Insights, and I have the absolute pleasure of introducing Tawana Nobles, who is our key speaker today. Tawana is Senator for the 28th Legislative District of Washington State and is ready to work for every member of the district and across the state. She also serves as the president and CEO of the Tacoma Urban League, where she leads programs to strengthen and support the local African American community in social equality and economic independence. Growing up, Tawana and her family faced many challenges, including homelessness, which led Tawana to move into foster care at the age of 15. Tawana was determined not to become a statistic and applied her passion, energy, and hard work to graduate high school and go on to become an educator. Education has always been central to Tawana's life, and she believes strongly in giving back to the community that helped her succeed. Previously, Tawana worked as an instructor for the Metropolitan Development Council's College Bound program at Stadium High School and Lincoln High School in Tacoma, as well as served as a PTA leader and a school board member. She also co-founded Ladies First, an in-school and after-school program dedicated to empowering young women and building positive self-esteem. She attended the University of Puget Sound, where she earned her undergraduate degree and Master of Arts in Teaching. Tawana, her husband, and children live in Pierce County. And her free time, which I don't know where she gets it from, Tawana enjoys lazy days with family, running environmental justice camps for her mentorship group, outdoor adventures in our state parks, and reading inspirational nonfiction. We are now going to begin. This will be recorded and made available in our YouTube library. Please feel free to ask any questions at the end. You can either unmute yourself in the top right corner where you see yourself or where your picture would be, or you can hover down below and see the message box, click in there, and you can go ahead and type out your questions. Now I'm going to turn it over to Tawana Nobles. Thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you very much for introducing me, Katie. Hi to everyone, I'm Tawana Nobles, and as Katie said, I think we can expect a few more people to jump in, but I'm so excited that this will be recorded and shared. I am going to share my screen as I see folks are joining the call. So let me get this all queued up. There we go. I think I'm going to be sharing my screen, my presentation. Let's see. Oh, wait, when I'm sharing it, are you all seeing the presentation?
It did before when we practiced. It did not show up just now.
Okay, let me minimize everything on here because I have a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like it's showing you my budget, which I'm happy to share too, but that's not what we're talking about, although it's part of the process. I'm going to share my screen a different way. It'd be easier. Here we go. Perfect. And I'm going to, now I know you can see that. Go to full screen. So again, welcome to everyone who's joining or still logging in. I'm Tawana Nobles. I'm the president and CEO of the Tacoma Urban League and also one of your state senators here in Washington State, and I represent the 28th Legislative District. But today I have the privilege of speaking to you about asking for the raise. And it's important because so many of us, most of us are working and have to take care of financial responsibilities. Many of you may really enjoy the work that you do and may feel like you bring a lot of value to your company, but are simply not being compensated for all of your worth, for all of the value, for the asset that you are and what you bring to that company. I am in no way, shape, or form an expert, but I have had to put many of these tips into practice. And I've just been doing research over the years. And a couple of weeks ago, before this talk, I kind of did a little more research to make sure what I was hoping to share is still popular opinion. I'll just be adding my real life examples to the information that I'll share to you today, but you can probably find this information reiterated anywhere. But let's talk about asking for the raise. So a few things that I want to start off sharing. I want you all to feel encouraged to pursue your goals, whatever it is that you want to do. I hope that you feel empowered to go big or go home. I know for me, it was important to be a leader in my community. Katie very graciously shared a little bit about my background, and I experienced a lot of hardships as a young person. But one thing that I learned from those experiences was how to be a leader even during the worst of times. I became comfortable problem solving, negotiating circumstances, speaking up for myself, speaking up for others. And I have carried those skills into my adult professional life. And for me, I wanted to use those skills to serve my community as a CEO, as a state senator, as an entrepreneur, even as a mom. It's been important for me to be comfortable being a leader, but I had to identify at some point what it is that I wanted to do, where I could envision myself working, or I like to say serving a whole lot because I like to lead by, helping others. But I had to identify what my goals were. And I had to also make sure that as I was, going big, thinking about those big roles, that I was comfortable pursuing. All the roles that we can play are significantly important. No matter what we do, we're going to have to network. So I think as you are thinking about asking for a raise, pursuing your goals, it's so important to be building your network. Yes, with your coworkers, yes, with your friends, your family. All of these people are a part of your network, and you'll find them important because later when I talk to you about practicing asking for the raise, your network will be a critical part of that. But when you build your network, you also have a community of people who can validate how hard you've been working, how you're the first one to get to the office sometimes, or you always meet your deadlines, or you're so reliable, or sometimes you're the last one to leave the office, or you really encourage and inspire the people around you, or who can validate you increase the profit and loss of your organization, or you completely turned it around, or can really say that you are the glue that really maintains the culture of the organization or company that you work for. But your network is going to be really key as you think about asking for the raise, because most of us are going to need some encouragement, some validation of the work that we've been doing, and validation of our worth, which is also going to lead to you building your confidence and knowing your worth. It is going to be up to you to be your best advocate. So your network can say, girl, you work so hard, or guy, for any guys on the call, you work so hard. You need to ask for a raise. You're being underpaid, but you have to truly believe that, because it will be you in the room or on the Zoom or on the phone talking to whoever it is that you need to negotiate a raise with or ask for a raise with. So you have to know your worth and know your value and be prepared to communicate that to others. And as you're on this journey to prepare to ask for more money, I know professionally, it sounds, I think, different coming from a woman, but we all need to be more comfortable with it. I do want to consistently increase how much money I'm able to make, because I have a family to raise, and I want to be able to sustain my life and lifestyle and pay my bills. But it's important for me, it was important to identify that as a goal. So I am working towards being able to make more money. And so it made sense that I start, speaking about my successes. Personally, I utilize my social media a whole lot to share those successes. I think it makes it really easy for my board of directors or anyone who has ever supervised me. And it makes it easy for me to track what I've been up to track, my service, whether it's volunteer service, to track the things that I'm doing in my company, whether it's fundraisers or other programs, the community members that we're, in the case of the Urban League, the community members we're helping to buy a home or connect with a mentor. I speak about those successes in the context of our organization, but personally, I keep my LinkedIn updated and I keep my social media updated, not just with personal stuff and things that are important to me personally, but professionally, I track my successes, any awards, articles, op-eds. I track those things and I speak about them comfortably in community, different from bragging. I'm not walking around bragging about what I've accomplished, but I definitely am comfortable speaking about my successes, and in particular to my board of directors. I speak confidently to my board about what we're achieving in our organization, how much money we raised, any type of challenges that under my leadership we've been able to overcome in the agency. But I'm real comfortable speaking about what I know I have contributed to the organization and what I know I have helped us to overcome. And so you have to be comfortable speaking about those successes and tracking them on your social media or on a piece of paper or an Excel sheet. But you want, when you sit down to have that conversation for the raise, you don't want to stumble over, the type of asset you've been, what you've accomplished, how you've helped to change this organization, and why they want to pay you more so that they don't lose you. And then I want to pause. Want to make sure folks can hear and see. Katie, if you want to give me a thumbs up, let me know you're good. I don't want to continue on. Great. Perfect. So in addition to those 4 items, I think it's so important after a big win to start negotiating. So if you help to bring in a large partner or a large partnership, or you raise a lot of money in a fundraiser, you brought in a large client, any big win that you are able to communicate, you help to establish or initiate, or you had a heavy hand in making sure that it happened, I think that's a good time to start negotiating. And I've had that experience. I remember after my first year in my job as a CEO, I did not have experience as a CEO, and there was a major jump because I was a classroom teacher the year before, and then I was invited to be the CEO of the Urban League. And after the first year and our first fundraiser, I quickly realized I'm really good at this work. I truly am an asset to this organization. And I did go in and negotiate. I felt like I had raised enough money to increase my salary and to make sure that we had healthcare benefits for all of our team, our staff. But it's just a really good time after you have had a major accomplishment or helped your company to experience a major accomplishment to go in and negotiate what more you might need to stay there and to express your worth to that company or organization. And I mentioned this a little bit when I said be comfortable speaking about your successes, but just reiterating, documenting your successes, whether it's in your journal, on a sheet of paper, utilizing your social media. You have to decide what's for you. You can even use the notes section on your phone. But if you're serious about moving up the pay scale, you have to do a really good job of making the case. And just keeping track ongoing, I think, is a really helpful way to be able to do that. And yes, it will be scary. You have to be vulnerable to say, I deserve more, like I earned this, and to stay here, I want more. It's a scary thing to do and maybe not the most natural thing to do, but do it anyway. Absolutely. If you think about these items that I listed, knowing your worth and being able to speak about those successes, I'm going to move this. It's going to be so important for that conversation and helping you to overcome that fear. But the more you work on those initial items, you've documented, you're comfortable speaking about it, your network is validating and affirming how hard you work and what you've done to be an asset to this company, you definitely will be prepared. And then as you're thinking about asking for the raise, you want to make sure that you're communicating your vision in two different ways. I like to think of it as communicating your vision to yourself. So making sure that you understand where you are headed, what your goals are, what you envision for yourself. Communicate your vision for your organization or where you see things moving or changing or shifting or growing to the individuals that you work with and work for, and communicate your vision, even your goal of increasing your salary or one day asking for a raise. Communicate that to others around you so they can be knowledgeable, they can encourage you. And I mean, this is something that I absolutely practice, but I like to kind of speak life into what it is that I envision, because others will never know what I want if I don't ask for it. And I do believe, as it relates to asking for a raise, those who ask more simply will get more. Those who ask just have a greater likelihood of receiving. So you want to communicate your vision to move up into the, sometimes a raise isn't just staying in the same position and making more money. It's you want a raise because you want more responsibility. You want to move up into the next level, but communicate this vision to yourself on your vision board, in your journal, to your friends, your family, your supervisors, and practice your pitch. So I said your network will come in handy. You want to make sure that you are practicing your pitch. I have practiced mine by myself, literally just saying it out loud, those sentences that I want to say to my board of directors. I've shared the information and communicated my vision for increased salary or more responsibility or promotion to my friends and family, and I practiced with them. And it was really helpful. So when the time came, I felt prepared. I knew my worth. I had already developed my confidence. I had already documented my successes, practiced it, and I was absolutely ready to make that pitch. And if for some reason, when you make your pitch, you receive a no, or we can't make that happen, or any type of excuse, I think it really is important to plan an exit strategy. And it's really hard to leave things that we love. If you're asking for a raise, that means you want to stick around. You just want to be valued for what it is that you're contributing to any company, to an organization, to any entity. And if you're not going to be valued, I think it's fair for you to say, well, I value me, and I think it's time for me to move to a place where my value and that organization's value is simply going to match. And I'm being compensated at a rate that is communicating an understanding of how hard I work and what I contribute to this company. And this sometimes is another really hard part, because who wants to say bye, who wants to transition, who wants to leave what they love? But if you're serious about making your worth, then sometimes you have to make that tough decision to exit and find another position. And I tried this out too. When I discovered in my job how good I was, and I went back and said, hey, this has been a great experience. I recognize how much of an asset I am. I'm definitely underpaid. And the benefits don't match, the company's benefits for me just don't match the level of commitment and work that I put in. And so I asked if I could use my board as references as I start applying for other positions. And thankfully, they said, whatever it is that you want, I mean, we want to keep you. They actually compensated me a little bit higher than I asked for. And in everything else that I asked for, they made sure we were able to put it into place. And so we've continued kind of uphill from there. But also, I share this story, but my son shared a similar story. He is now 17. He has worked at McDonald's for 2 years, and he was picking up additional responsibilities. He probably lives the closest of all the employees. So whenever someone calls out, they call him to come in and cover shifts. And he's eager. He loves it. He has never missed a day of work or called out. He's only been late twice, and both times were because of me, because I had said I would take him, but I was running behind. So he's really reliable. But he said to his employer, I'm taking on all these additional responsibilities. I'm managing people, and yet I'm not being paid more, and I have not been given a promotion or an additional title to recognize that I'm literally a manager. And he said, if things don't change, I'm going to go. And things changed. They promoted him to manager, and now he has, the manager polo. And I said, what were you going to do if they said, oh, well, he said, I would have found a new job. And I'm like, that's the right thing to do. You have to start early. And I'm glad he's learning this lesson as a teenager. But in particular, I want to make sure that for women, that we are recognizing our worth and our value, and we are okay with leaving if that simply is not going to happen where we are, but not feeling compelled to stay, to be overworked and underpaid under any circumstance. I just want to do a quick check. I think I have also a few friends who are in the waiting room. So if we can let some of those people, I have the mayor saying, I can't get in. So if we can just make sure
I got her in. Oh, I saw. It just takes a minute, no problem.
Thank you. But I also want to see at this point if there are any specific questions or things that we can talk through. So if there are questions, I'd love to be able to answer questions. I'm not monitoring hands, but maybe Katie or Hannah can.
I'm looking right now. Now also, so you can either unmute, if you go to your box where you see your name and click, right click in there, and you can unmute yourself. Feel free to speak. Also, you can go down to the chat box. If you hover down below with your mouse, you can go type it if you don't feel comfortable speaking out loud. That's okay. I will read it to Tawana, and she will answer your question.
Hi, this is Ronita. I have a question.
Hi, Ronita.
So I experienced this on one of my jobs. I was working at a corporation, and the racial disparities for a Black woman, and you're being undervalued, and you're not getting the support to move to the next level in a promotion and so forth. I asked my employer, and it was just an awful experience. And I had to make the decision. I have to move on and leave. And I had to start looking for different things that would still ignite my passion and help me grow and develop. And that led me on a journey to, I now have a nonprofit that I've established and put some things in place, because it was not there from that employer, that I was not being supported. And I asked the questions. I knew my worth, and I asked for the support. I asked for the raise, and I just started recognizing, okay, they're just not going to give this to me. And I still had to stay there for a minute because I had to pay bills and things like that. But it was becoming to a point where I was losing my passion for what I did, and was thinking, okay, I have to settle for this. I have to live because I have to work. But, I knew about other resources, or knew how to navigate outside of that place of employment, and the things you just mentioned about tapping into my networks, going into my community and getting that support. But just coming from the perspective as a Black woman, and what you experience when you're working in a system that's not set up to support you. So can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Yes, and I would add, especially as Black women, all the data and statistics around us being underpaid, cents on the dollar, it already exists. So there's no mystery as to how true that is. But I think even more so because by nature, we are very caring people. We take care of business. We have great leadership skills. We're very loving and compassionate people as Black women, but that's not to be exploited. That's not to be used as additional and free work. And Ronita or Tawana can take on that additional responsibility because we have great hearts and we're compassionate. But even more so to be watchful of those additional responsibilities, building up, being added to the plate, but not the credit and not the financial benefit and not the raise. So if those things aren't happening, I mean, you made the right decision. Ultimately, you had to go, and you were careful to network and make a plan so that you could transition. Because the reality is, we can't exit maybe that same day. Most of us, I have real bills to pay, so I can't just quit my job today. I need to have a next plan. So when planning that exit strategy, absolutely having the next job responsibility or your next career move planned out as what you want to do. And we all need help doing it. It's not easy, but good job. Also knowing you can be an entrepreneur, you can create your own nonprofit, you can work for yourself. Many of us balance or manage that, working for someone else, but also being entrepreneurs. So whatever it is that anyone wants to decide is, right for you is what you should do. But you did all the right things. And we have to be especially careful as Black women to not be undervalued and overworked. And we have to speak up and ask for change. And if that change doesn't happen, it is time to exit.
I have a question. How do you balance, Tawana? It's so impressive, everything you're doing. How do you balance your work life, your Tacoma? I mean, it's insane, everything I've been reading about you.
I love that I have like really good friends on here. I have my husband, I have Mama Mare.
Oh, that's him, right? Okay.
Who I think would say simply, one, I'm just blessed to be able to do a really good job balancing. I have been blessed with an ability to manage a very large capacity and to do multiple things well. But some of it, I think, is what I explained earlier, where I had a head start. It's not what I would, wish upon anyone to have to say, you know what, I want to live as a teenager in a shelter on my own. And that's how you start learning responsibility. I wouldn't wish that anyone would have to learn how to care for others and manage additional responsibility and learn how to be a leader because their mom is on a drug binge and they just have to care for two younger siblings. But I just think about how long I have been doing this. I have unfairly and unjustly had a head start doing, like, managing challenging and large responsibilities for a very long time. So I don't feel like I just started doing this 10 or 20 years ago even. I've just been doing them for a long time and just have kind of not perfected, because I still, screw things up and mess up and forget things, and I'm human, but I definitely just have a lot of practice managing a lot of responsibilities and juggling a lot of things. And to be honest, I also take care of myself. Anyone who knows me knows, I take naps. I like to be active. I keep on my plate things that are important to me. My life is not about work. It's not about just being a CEO or a state senator. It's also about all the things that I just love doing and being silly and letting my hair down. But I think the things that I do, I actually enjoy. I don't see, about 95% of those things I don't see as like work that I have to do. I want to do them. Another part of leadership is not everything is fun. So there are things that I do, they're meaningful to the community. They aren't necessarily fun, but someone has to do it. And the community really benefits from it. And I'm thinking, being a senator is a major privilege, but being harassed by people just because you're an elected official, no one deserves to experience that. So that's the 5% of not cool, but I have a really great job, and overwhelmingly I benefit the community and I love it. So I love what I do. I try to take care of myself, but I've been doing this for so long. I mean, is my best answer, I guess, So
well articulate. I do have a question to ask you. Is it appropriate? Most of us get reviews, right? A work review, employer review. And many people are given the opportunity to actually, prior to meeting with your employer, your supervisor or manager, you have an opportunity to write down, right? Yeah. So with that said, that list we're talking about, that documenting you're talking about, is that an appropriate time and fitting to list those things? I had a boss at St. Joseph's right up here several years ago who said, I'll never forget it. It was the first time I ever had to do an employee evaluation, and she was from the South, and she was a full-figured woman with a very deep Southern drawl, and she said, Katie, she said, if you don't toot your own horn, no one's going to do it for you. Because I didn't know what to write. I'm in my late 20s and mid to late 20s, and I'm like, I've never done one before. I don't know. So would you share some of your information or advice that you have for that situation?
Yes, this is such a perfect question because I am almost finished doing this year's staff evaluations. And that is we call them employee growth plans. And
Like
it is focused on, what challenges have you experienced this past year? What goals do you have? How do you anticipate growing from any challenges? And I mean, I'm from the South as well, so I give very direct feedback, ongoing feedback. There are going to be no surprises come your evaluation. I've been talking to you about what's going well and what's not. But I tell my staff, there's an area on the growth plan that says, tell me about where you have succeeded, what has gone well. And I really express to them, please don't overlook that section, because this goes in your employee file. And this is the perfect thing when you sit down and you are asking, if my staff could unmute and tell you, they would say, I explain to staff every year, this is where you get to negotiate. You now have documentation we both signed, it's in your file, and you can say, this is what I've done. But even if I'm no longer here and you want someone to write a letter of support, or while I am here, and you want someone to you want me to do a reference for your next career move, this is the historical document that says how you have contributed to this organization, whether it's financial, whether it's going above and beyond in your role, whether it's just completing your role with excellence. But I say, I know sometimes it's hard to take those few minutes to write those details, but in your annual evaluation is the perfect space to document those contributions to any company and to toot your own horn. And because it's written, sometimes it is a little easier than saying to someone to say it out loud if you don't have that confidence. But that is the most appropriate place. If you're not, in addition to your LinkedIn, but for your employer, we're both going to sign off on, I know I've done a good job for this company in my evaluation. And I can be honest about, and I want my staff to be honest about where we need to grow, what we need to improve. But yes, please toot your own horn on your annual eval. Right? Or your if you get it every 6 months, your biannual eval. But great question, great resource and tool.
Just saw someone I know just popped on. She might have some questions. Tawana, too, is it all right for you to send some information that you used today to share with us, that we can share with anyone that might want to be able to go back and look at you had really good bullet points of some major things that, especially even myself, I don't even would have thought of.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, those aren't real, my stories and examples are original in mine, but those bullet points, I definitely have picked up a lot of information just doing research online. But yes, you can share that PowerPoint. And for those of you, just because I like to keep it real, for those of you, just in case you're like at all impressed by that slideshow, just know that when I came to this conversation, I did not have a presentation. I had my talking points written out, but then Katie and Hannah were like, if you need to share screen and share your presentation, I was like, I did not put together a presentation, but I can change that in about 10 minutes.
You did awesome. That was so impressive. So talk about working under pressure and be able to multitask. Hello.
Yeah, but again, it's recognizing, those are the things that I know I don't just do for myself, but when I'm under pressure for an organization, for my job, I can list out so many reasons how I know I'm going to be an asset to a company and how I simply can get things done. And someone may overlook even a task like that, where it's like last minute and you came through for your company, for your organization, for your boss who failed to plan and they're counting on you. You have to negotiate those skills when it's time to ask for a raise. You have to remind them of the asset that you've been to the company. So just don't ever think those things are small or they don't matter. They absolutely matter, especially if you're creating really good product or really good outcomes under pressure. Like that's something to be proud of. Something, as Katie said, to toot your own horn about, but just give yourself credit and use that type of stuff when you're asking for a raise.
Any other questions? Oh, we've got some, if you look in the comments, you've got some good stuff in there, Miss Tawana. People are very, very pleased and appreciative for you. Okay. Any other questions? We are again going to upload this. We're going to send it to Tawana directly. So if you want to get and have a copy and you're in touch with her, feel free. If not, we're also putting it on our Financial Insights YouTube library. And we put all of our 2021 and our previous 2020 Wisdom with Women educational series. Just to let you know, we have speakers all over the Tacoma community who take time out of their very busy schedules to come and speak with community members and share different topics. We've done, ask for the raise today. We've done estate planning. We've done real estate and getting into real estate. It's just been wonderful. So we're going to continue this throughout. This is our second year, and we look forward to having you hopefully in the future do another one for us on another topic. And the word's getting out there that we're doing these, and they're always free, always complimentary. It's just a way for us to be able to educate, learn something maybe new, and help each other and support each other within our communities. So thank you again, Tawana Nobles, so much for being here today, for taking time out of your very busy schedule, for sharing with us some really good information that all of us can use. And we just appreciate you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you.
You're
So wonderful. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a wonderful week. Stay cool, stay safe out there, please. And you guys take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Tawana. Thank you again. Goodbye, my
Thank you,
dear.
Tawana.